the very latest demo, this one here, the one you can't easily replicate, already shows how to actually set basic cloud credentials. So if we go in here, and there's an entire new section available called credentials. And that one basically has a match. So you specify the data source you want to set credentials for. And for that, you specify type, and then depending on type, other parameters. So for SQL, it's server and database. So those need to match exactly the data source you're ultimately referencing in your data set. And then down here, you can specify at this point only the basic type. And there are other types available. There's anonymous, there's OAuth, there's key, there is Windows. And ultimately, pbi-tools will support all of them. For the time being, it's just that one, because that's the most needed one if you, for instance, connect to a SQL database or so. And then the other thing you can do is to actually put the credentials in here. So with that being basic, what you need is username, password. Obviously, the username or password, well, I mean, username you could put in here, but you definitely wouldn't put the password in here, which is why I'm basically using environment variable references. And then there's also update mode, which has 3 possible settings. Not specified means the credentials are only set if they haven't been set already. So pbi-tools will check, right? For this data source, does the current principal have credentials, yes or no? And then in not specified mode, it will only overwrite them if needed. The other 2 modes are always or never. So always might be quite useful if you want to be able to actually update credentials, right? So if let's say you do some sort of key rotation or password rotation, right? And you want to make sure that that is propagated during your deployments, you would want to use always. And then obviously make sure that your CI/CD system always has the most recent password available. So that's new, and is definitely one big step towards having everything automated. Unfortunately, you know, the one demo I was just showing did not rely on basic credentials, but actually relies on anonymous credentials. And ironically, even though for anonymous, obviously there are no credentials, you still have to explicitly say that, right? And so that's why I had to go in and temporarily do that myself.
I see.
So yeah, so single sign-on, you're most likely referring to OAuth credentials here. That is problematic. In fact, that's quite a head scratcher. By definition, OAuth credential flows require interaction. What I do in practice with OAuth, you know, in my workplace, we always go through our enterprise gateway, because that means that we can automate everything, because we only have to set up the OAuth credentials once as an admin on the gateway. They then stay at the gateway level, and they are being kept up to date, as in the Power BI will generate refresh tokens if and when necessary. And all we need to do then is to ensure that our dataset deployments have a gateway reference.